Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we're hoping to continue with this a bit. Now, this is going to probably go on for hopefully 30, 45 minutes or so, but before I completely go into this, I actually have someone with me, so, you want to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, hey, what's going on, guys? This is Dope's Owner 930 here. How y'all doing?
Let's hope they're doing well wherever they are. Anyways, Dopesor and I here, we have been talking about doing this for what? Has it been like the past like month or two now?
Yeah, I'd say it's been about a month or two since we originally started kind of spitballing ideas about this whole thing.
Yes, yes, and it's something we've wanted to have fun with and everything. But welcome to ModChat. And what is ModChat, you might be asking? Well, ModChat is essentially going to be a type of podcast that we're going to be doing. We need to still set up, where exactly we're going to be uploading all that. Of course, we're going to be uploading here on YouTube. So if you are watching this as a video, you can go ahead and, minimize it or go elsewhere because there's really nothing that's going to be on screen. But essentially, both Dopester and I have come up, through the 360 modding scene originally. That's how we kind of built up our channels and all that. And we still cover mods and, tech things here and there. And a lot of people want more modding things. So there's a lot of things, we can either discuss, we can bounce ideas off of with each other, just talk about, large variety of ideas. So I was telling him before, I kind of want to do this podcast. I have this idea. What do you think? And he kind of seemed on for it. So, we're going to see how it goes and see if we can make this, maybe an episode like at least like once a month or something like that.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoy. Again, we have been talking back and forth. We've got a bunch of different ideas. So we're hoping that we can make it as entertaining as possible because, again, you guys all really like the modding stuff. And even though basically right now there hasn't been too much crazy news things. Like you said, there's still a lot of different things that can be talked about, and we're hoping that you guys will enjoy hearing and maybe I don't know responding at least in the video, video comments or something like that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it then, Mr. Mario.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Now, I mean, first off, before we go into this, for anybody who might be unfamiliar with either you or I, we can kind of do, a little bit of a background here. Like, I myself, I've been on YouTube really since the inception of it, but I started, pumping out videos regularly summer of 2011, and that's when I kind of got started in the modding scene. I've always enjoyed doing tutorials, helping out things like that, which I did on previous channels, but what ended up happening with the modding scene here was originally I came in and I started recording videos because my coworker sold me a flashed Xbox 360, and I had to learn, how to rip my games, how to patch them, all that stuff. And every single tutorial on YouTube was outdated, or they were scammy, or they were fake, or like just you would do it like if you follow that tutorial, your disc wouldn't work. So I had to, stay up for a few late nights, learn how to do all this and all that because it wasn't as easy to find this stuff, even back in 2011, which is just, 4 years ago. So what ended up happening was I kind of, learned all this stuff, tried to break it down in a simple manner, and then I started making my tutorials showing how to, rip, burn, patch your games, things like that. And then it went into, flashing drives and, eventually doing some hard mods, things like that. I've learned a ton from this, and I know Dopesoner, he took on the whole hard modding exploit much earlier than I did, but what's your history on this site?
Oh, basically, it's funny. You started actually right around the same time as me. I started back in 2011, and essentially what happened was I got my first flashed Xbox off of Craigslist, and I was fascinated with video game modding or Xbox modding, and so I started doing some research. Excuse me. I started browsing forums and things like that. God, my throat. Anyways, yeah, I started browsing forums and things like that, and I think what happened was I had someone with a Red Ring of Death Xbox, and they wanted to know how to fix it. So I started looking around online, looking on YouTube, and I saw all the towel tricks and all of the shoving ear swabs in the fans to make it overheat. And in my mind, that just didn't seem right. I might not have been a rocket scientist, but it didn't seem like that made sense to me. So basically, I started doing some more digging online in the forums, and that's when I found things like the 12-volt fan mod, just different tips and tricks for fixing disk drives and whatnot. And the thing is, it wasn't that the information wasn't accessible, it just wasn't readily accessible. And in my mind, I started thinking, hey, I spent a couple hours digging around through these forums. Why not make it easier on someone and just film this, throw it up on YouTube, and hopefully it'll help out some people. And so that's how it started. My first few videos were like me showing how to take apart an Xbox or how to fix a disk drive or something like that. And I actually had no intention of making YouTube videos like at least not to the extent that it is currently at. It was more just I'm making a couple videos, but basically, I got a couple comments from people just saying thank you very much, that really helped, or you whatever, something along those lines, and it kind of got me hyped, and I kept doing more and more tutorials, and I mean, shoot, one thing led to another, and that's where it basically took me through. I went from doing a couple videos to I tried every single thing I could think of that might be needed. I tried to make a video on for the Xbox. Pretty much is what it came down to in the end.
Yeah,
So,
actually I think my most random video I've made was how to make a tissue box 360. Yeah.
I haven't even seen that. That sounds funny.
It's buried somewhere on my channel. I know it's still public. Yeah. No, actually, you want me to admit something that I have not admitted like on this channel at all?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this will be, I guess, a ModChat exclusive. Yeah, so my very first 360, I wanted to do a video of me, like, opening it up completely, like, taking off the X-clamps, cleaning it, and all that stuff, and I did it at, like, 3 in the morning, and this 360, my very first system, right, it did red ring at one point, then I sent it to Microsoft, and, they gave me a new one, but I got the Elites when it first came out. Do you remember how much they were?
I want to say 300 sounds right.
No.
Less?
480
No kidding. What?
for the Elite when it first dropped.
God, that's
Yeah.
it's wow. Okay.
And if you think of it, that was a Zephyr motherboard. This is back in 2007. So I got that, and then I had to pay tax and the extended warranty I got. I paid like $550 for this thing, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. I was doing this video, right? And I flexed the motherboard like 20 times. I killed the thing.
No. Oh God.
That is still, that's like one of my, I'm so mad about that, like still to this day. Like I've had systems that are so much better, and I've had tons of other consoles that aren't Microsoft, but I'm like, I killed my most expensive and my original Xbox.
God, dude.
I killed it on camera though, so I did it for you all.
That sucks, dude. I could see how it's not even really the Xbox. It's the principle behind it all, dude.
Exactly. Like
that really blows.
Like right now, I mean, my main system is a dual NAND RJTAG big block Jasper system, and I'm like, still, I honestly think I would trade it off for that Zephyr.
If you could bring it back to life.
I still have it actually. I've tried every single thing on that thing, and it is dead. It is deader than dead. Like I can't get it.
Is it just not powering on anymore? Or what's it doing? Is it red ringing?
Every single type of red ring possible.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I actually think that system I did use in a video a while ago. It was like how to make a bad tutorial, and I ended up throwing it in the snow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that I believe I have seen that one then. That's funny, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, so yeah, that's my embarrassment.
Random, dude, but I had a video a long time ago. Did you ever see my Red Ring of Death cat enclosure?
Oh, yeah, I saw that a few weeks ago, actually. That was so cute. And I was going to say, no, I wanted to do that except with guinea pigs.
Oh, that would have been equally, if not cooler, because guinea pigs are very, like, not everyone has a guinea pig. A lot of people have cats.
Exactly. Like, no, what happened was because for a while I had a bunch of Xboxes, and some people were telling me, they're just like, no, that would be a waste of money. I'm like, listen, I get these Xboxes for like $5 or free.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm just going to take apart like 20 Xboxes and build like a big like playpen enclosure and then put like 5 guinea pigs in there.
That's awesome. You should still do it. I mean, no one take that's copyrighted by Mr. Mario 2015.
Yeah.
Do you see like next viral video guinea pig enclosure? Oh my God.
I need to do it with like Xbox Ones though.
Yeah, that'd be more. Well, Jesus, that's expensive.
That's why I need to do it with Xbox Ones.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, I need to show these people out here that I'm stunting.
Yeah, I guess so, dude. And then you find out that they're all the floor models that are just basically plastic with no internal components.
I'm just like, wait, I just paid $600. I'm done. I'm done with YouTube. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm broke. Oh my God, that's too funny, man.
Oh man. Anyways, I mean, with all that's all, the great talk, and this is what we're going to be expecting with ModChat here, because it's just going to be, real laid back and casual. We're even expecting, we'll invite other people on, things like that. But we were kind of wanting to talk about, of course, we keep talking about the Xbox modding scene and all that. And as I said, Daniel and I, we've both talked about, our come-ups with the scene and all that. We're both very thankful for, everyone that's gotten us to this point. But with that, we wanted to talk about kind of the state of the modding scene right now and what we think of it, compared to what's been happening in the past, like when we first started seeing, mods and everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, I don't know if you want to get into the rant side of it. I've got definitely a few things I'd like to say on kind of what's I guess I don't know, not disappointed me, but just really bummed me out with it all. And it's the main thing is this for me. It's that when I was in the prime of doing the Xbox stuff, it seemed like there was something coming out every other day. And I don't even just mean like new discoveries. I mean there was software things coming out, updates to like oh, my brain farts right now. What is it? The custom dash, not dash launch,
Freestyle Dash.
freestyle dash. Yeah, gosh, there we go. Just different updates and things like that. All these different skins being constantly made. I mean, there was just one thing after another, back to back to back, and it was really exciting for me. And then they had brain farting again, but the online service for
Excellent Kai.
there we go. Yeah, X-Link, there was all these different, like, basically innovative ideas and things coming out, and so I was really excited. It was fun to make videos on. There was, a lot of cool stuff, and then, all of a sudden, it stunted. I feel like it stunted heavily, and I mean, I understand that 360s are last gen now, and I understand that, the one is here, and all that good stuff, but it's just like, it just seems like it all very much so went from innovative ideas to just Call of Duty lobbies. 100. I mean, which again, I was fascinated by JTAGs originally because of Call of Duty lobbies. I got into one and got like raped by a guy that was had God mode and unlimited noob tubes. And so don't get me wrong, I don't hate on that aspect of it. I just am very disappointed that that became basically the only focal point at this point. And it was just I don't know, man. It was so much more exciting too for me when exploits weren't on every single console. When it was like a rarity to have a JTAG, and it's even more shocking to me really that how readily available exploited console is, and how to me how there's no one that's really working on big projects, and I just I don't know, man. I'll leave it at that for right now.
Well, I mean, honestly, what all is there to work on? Because it seems so tapped out. But I mean, one big thing I want to talk about, which I kind of ran this idea by you before we started this, and I was saying, no, it's a little bit of a controversial thing, but I'll go ahead and say it. One big thing is honestly the community. Like, there's kind of two parts I want to say with this. One, it's a lot like we're coming full circle. Pretty much what happened, when the 360 originally came out, the original Xbox was modded to hell and back. It was super easy to get an action replay, to install over your soft mod files, to exploit the system, then to, mod up a bunch of Halo 2 maps and go online with them. While as, same thing's going on now. The new gen is out, so the old gen is completely hacked up. But it's so much worse this time around just because, there's so many more consoles that are sold. There's more people in the world. There's more people that are doing this. But even with that, I'm one of those people, see, I've been doing stuff like this since I was like 11 or 12. And I really don't want to say, age makes a difference, but age really does make a difference. Your maturity level, just the way your brain works, things like that. Like, there's things, you laughed at when you're 12 that, 10 years later you look at, you're like, I was stupid for doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so, I mean, one big thing with it is I was telling Daniel here, I said, in my opinion, as some people might know who follow my channel, I've been getting vested into the 3DS scene. And before the Xbox 360 scene, I was vested in the PSP modding scene. So I've always been in modding scenes here and there for consoles. Now, what's going on with the 3DS scene, for example, there's a lot of, the floodgates have really opened because right now there's a new exploit that works on, newer systems, things like that. But one thing that was nice before was that there was a huge barrier to entry in the scene before. And when there was that barrier to entry, it was better, in any scene. Like, for example, the Xbox 360 scene, not that many people knew how to modify their systems. Not that many people knew, all these challenges that were available, things like that. Nobody really knew how to take a JTAG online for years properly. While as with the, like right now going on with the Xbox 360 versus 3DS scene, the Xbox 360, you can go and get a really cheap JTAG somewhere that's about to red ring in 6 hours for like, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks maybe. It'll probably be like a really bad Xenon or something, but, so be it. You get that, and then you buy, XBLSE, you get that for free, you copy and paste some files onto your system, and all of a sudden, like, you're elite hacker, and then you're probably, like 11, 12 at this point, so you think, you're some hot stuff and all that, and then the problem is these people just have, like, the illusions of being these big hackers and modders and everything, and they want to just, mod all the things, and then it just ruins it for everyone else, and then modders start hating each other and and all that. Whereas, like the 3DS, what was happening for a while, there was a huge barrier to entry. You had to get a 3DS that hadn't been updated in a few years, and then you had to pay about, $70, $80, maybe $100 for a flash cart, and you had to learn to do all this stuff on your own, and everyone there was level-headed because, they had to have some money to, get to where they were and everything, and people knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that, and just because it's so readily available, it's funny because it went from really exciting, like, oh my god, these can be hacked now too, sweet, I could do different ones and the different exploits, but then they got so many of them now that it's not nearly as exciting. And like you said, the value is depreciated. And I was just telling you earlier that, when I used to have my Xenon JTAGs, they would go, for like $300 or something like that. The value was there. And then because obviously at that point to have a modded or hacked Xbox was something to be like excited about. It was, I don't want to say it was as rare as like seeing a dinosaur or nothing like that, but it was pretty, it was like, it was pretty, uncommon thing to have. You had to find one that was still, I believe below the 7371 dash that hadn't been patched yet, and it was something. And then once they were all able to, it just became not a matter of, oh wow, cool, you have one, or like, what kind. It was more like, oh, just what kind is it, or what kind of, what exploit did you use, or I don't know. It all changed. And back to what you were saying about the whole, like, the kids that think they're hacksaws and stuff like that. It's not, and I know you're not saying this either. It's not even about a kid having, like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old or something like that having a hacked Xbox. That's fine. Like, I'm not, there's nothing wrong with it.
Dude, I was that 11, 12, 13-year-old.
Exactly. It's the certain type of a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 11-year-old, whatever, that basically thinks they're big and bad because they have one of these Xboxes. There's nothing wrong, again, if you're young, I'm not going to summarize everyone, but there's definitely, I get them all the time, people spamming me on my channel, people messaging me on, like, I even get it on my PS4, it's just messaging me. I had one kid that basically was like just spamming all my social media about, JTAG this, JTAG that, and can you JTAG this for me? And I'm just like, man, it's kind of, it's annoying. And again, it's like if you've got your hacked Xbox and you're doing your thing, that's fine and all, but when you think I don't know, it's almost like a power thing, like being able to control it all, basically that at a young age, I think it makes you feel like you're big and bad, kind of, in a sense. I don't know if that really makes sense, but that's just how I could see it. It's like, to their friends, like, oh wow, like, we're gonna derank you, or I don't know, man. It just
honestly, what I want to say, I think really what ruined the scene for me when I saw it start crumbling down was when Xbox Live Stealth came out, because then that happened and people could pay to take their JTAGs online. But then even after that, all the clone services came out, and it became cheaper and cheaper to get a 360. It became cheaper and cheaper to get on a service, anything like that. So that was a big downfall, and really everyone buys them for Call of Duty now. That's it. Like, they don't even realize, all the cool stuff you could do, where you could boot into Zell and play N64 games. You could have, crazy custom dashboards. You could do a bunch of other type of things. You can develop on these systems. You can convert them over to dev kits. Like, people don't realize the cool things you do with these systems. They just want to get a system and take it online, which, you and I both fondly remember, for like 2 years almost, nobody could really take a JTAG online, and I could probably count on one hand the people who could take JTAGs online, and they weren't going to tell anyone how to do it.
And it was actually, when that first happened, it was like a bummer for me at the beginning, but then I actually really liked it. I didn't care. It wasn't like, oh, no, it was like, that's, people were having to figure out other things to do with them, which was good. That was a good thing for the scene, basically. And for me, there's three things that I wish had happened for the scene. One, I wish that they had made a better port of Linux. I wish they had kind of worked on a better port of Linux that was able to run. I know that they had that one, and I made a video on it and booted it, but I just wish that they had somehow made it where it was really, I don't know, just a little bit better of a version, because I've used that version and it's pretty slow. I don't know if have you ever used the Linux, like not the freeboot, but the like Linux 360 for it?
No, I've wanted to, actually. Now that you're talking about it, I just remember that was a thing. I learned about it a few months ago, actually.
Yeah, I had used it just a little bit. I plugged in like my USB mouse and keyboard, and it worked. Don't get me wrong. I just wish that more had been done with it. If there was more to do with it, I just feel like they could have made a better version. Not that's not saying I'm unthankful for that version because it's cool that they did that, but at the same time, wish that a little bit better of a version had come out. Maybe they'd done even more of like a dumbed down version. But that was one thing. Second thing is I wish that XBMC, dude, had been ported to the 360.
Yes,
That would have been
yes.
huge for me, dude. I mean, I looked, it was on the OG Xbox, and I was looking online hoping.
People still get the OG Xbox for XBMC. Can you believe that?
Yeah, but I mean, dude, it's a totally badass thing to have.
It
You know,
is,
it's
and
a
the
full blown media
the
center right
OG
there.
Xbox. I mean, you could force it to run at 720p, and even maybe if you mod it, you can force it to run at 1080i.
Yeah, which is killer. I mean, which is totally phenomenal to have a full blown media player. So that's my second thing. Is I was bummed out. I did a lot of digging to see if anyone had ported it, and the team completely abandoned the Xbox side of it from everything
Yep.
that I saw and read. So that sucked. And then lastly, dude, I actually wish that um, there had been some people that had basically worked on developing like an indie style game, dude, that was only available through running it unsigned like that. Like if there was just a company or like a team of a few people that wanted to develop a game but didn't really want to go through the whole Microsoft developer program, that would have been rad, dude.
If
To
you
have it.
think about it, yeah, I never thought of it. Like, none of those homebrew games really ever came to fruition. And if they are, I'm sure there's some homebrew games out on 360, but like nobody really knows about them.
Exactly, dude. I'm wishing that the whole, that's just like the community had come together on like one or two games that were just kind of badass, and we were all playing it. I just feel like again, like they did a lot. Don't get me wrong, they did, and but there's these things that to me would have just made it even more badass, dude. If these things could have happened. I mean, just picture some kind of cool indie game that you could only play with other people, their JTAGs and stuff like that, and it's actually a fun game. The developers are really working on improving it and stuff like that based off the community's feel. Dude, that could have been so badass,
It
man.
could have, yeah. I mean, I want to say here, I want to backtrack a little bit, but do you remember even like a few big things with the scene and all that? Like, at least at one point, you had even said when I brought this up to you earlier that you hadn't heard of this, but the JTAG hack, I mean, they call it JTAG just because it's easy, but it's actually called the SMC hack because you do have to exploit, the SMC on 7371 or below to get that running. But even before that, people didn't call it the SMC hack for some time when it first came out because a very select few people really knew how to do because nobody really knew how to solder that well. Nobody knew the tools you need. Nobody had the patience for this either. And the tutorials available were far and few in between and were very technical for what they were. And, prior to this, you could only run unsigned code on a dev kit or, a test kit of some kind. So they had said, people were saying this is how you can get XB reboots and homebrew and emulators running on a retail system, but it has to be on this dashboard and you have to install this chip and all this other stuff inside of it.
Yeah, I actually, again, like I was saying earlier, I don't, for some reason, I don't know if it's just me, my brain being foggy. I didn't get really into Xbox modding until the JTAG was a thing. I didn't even own a 360 in all honesty. I had PS3. I was always a Sony guy. The only reason I got 360 was because all my buddies had in high school had 360s, and I wanted to play along with them. And yeah, a little bit after that time is basically when I decided to pick one up, and then I wanted to get a modded one, which at the time wasn't a JTAG, like it was just a flash, is what they call it, modded console or whatever. And that's when I started doing some more digging and found out about the JTAG exploit. But that, like I was telling you earlier, the only thing I truly remember was the King Kong exploit, which I don't think it was a full exploit. I think it was just basically a thing that allowed you to run Linux. I could be wrong, but from what I remember, I think that every time you had to basically put the disk in, let it boot up, and then it would run through like a kind of like if you jailbreak. From what I remember, like an Android, where it basically runs like the script upward or downward or whatever, and then it would allow you to. Again, I think it was just Linux though, but I'm sure I'm wrong.
That was the only real big thing that came out of it. Like, I mean, you're getting close to being spot on with it, but
Okay.
really, it could have been a big exploit. The problem is, one, it came out very early, which that isn't a very big problem, but it was just like another thing was This is all very new stuff. Like, you had to rip over your game and you had to patch it, and then you had to take out your DVD drive and you had to flash it, and all this stuff sounds very easy. Like, this is stuff I can do within 10 minutes now. But this was back in, 2006, 2007, I want to say, and this was about rocket science.
Yeah.
Nobody really knew how to do this. This was very early on. This was on the Blades dashboard. This wasn't even the NXE dashboard. So this was all very hard stuff to do, and it was patched very early on. But even with that, because it was patched so early on and because of the difficulty of the exploits, there was really no big progress that was made on it. And the SMC hack, or the JTAG hack, that was a more accessible one for some time, but it was also more permanent, I guess you could say, in a way. You could actually, boot up your system, and you boot it up, and you boot directly into the hacked NAND.
Yeah, the tools, I would say definitely, again, though, with the King Kong exploit, the tools weren't readily available. I'm almost positive.
Tools weren't already available. Like, dude, there were no tools for this,
yeah,
man.
Exactly. I'm saying, like, I have a feeling that, executors, things to dump the NAND, or not dump the NAND, but, flash a drive with and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure that wasn't even in existence at that point.
Oh, no.
It had to have been some pretty much homemade, rigged setup, basically. Dude, I would love to know, though, how in the hell the guy decided to use the King Kong game and found out basically that there was some sort of a loophole in the game. Like, if I could find that guy and just ask him what made you check there, I'd be mind blown, dude.
Mm-hmm. And see, the funny thing is, like, because I was in the PSP modding scene for so long, this was a normal thing. There were always exploit games that came out, and there were games that had to be used multiple times, and even sometimes, funny enough, there were demos that you could download, that you could load an exploit file into them, they would crash your system. So I was familiar with those game-based exploits. To me, I'm just like you, though. I don't know how the hell they picked that game
in the first
and
place.
Found it and all that stuff, but it's genius, and I love it, and I thank everyone that does it.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the 3DS thing with the QR scanning hack thing right now. I mean, dude, I showed my brother. I was like, come here right now. He follows me to my computer. I have the QR code pulled up. Take a picture of it. I'm like, I just hacked my 3DS. He's like, no shit. And I'm like, yeah, I swear, dude. Like,
yep.
I mean, it's just wild,
Yeah. And even with the latest gateway update, what it does now is it kind of uses the QR code, but not really. Like, it's kind of similar, but essentially you have to go into your browser, go to this website, and when you go to that website, if you right-click and view the source on it, it has some code which pretty much pushes a buffer overflow onto your 3DS and crashes it, and then it allows you to boot up the gateway.
God, it's crazy, dude. It's just insane stuff, man.
I know. And dude, this is why I could, like, I was a developer for a bit, like, not with the 360 or anything, but as in, like, I was a coder, like, I was in computer science, and I'll be honest, I'm much better, with my GUIs and all that stuff, and, looking at things and explaining them to people, and being, a type of teacher like that, and being more of a people person, I guess you can say, although, you could still be a people person, be a coder. But what I'm trying to say is I am not a good coder. I'm not a talented coder by any means. I have major respect for the people that do it, though, but I can definitely, take whatever it is and, teach it to an average Joe if I need to.
Oh, essentially, I feel like we're similar boats, with that. With my channel and things I do is I feel like I try to take things that are seemingly complicated and make them so that way they're not. I basically chop them down and put them into baby bite spoonfuls, and that way, you can understand it more so where a lot of the people in the forums have it where it's just kind of confusing in text format. You don't have a visual, and I don't know. To me, it's easier that way. But yeah, basically, when it comes to programming, dude, I've always been really interested in it. I took a class as well. Wish I had paid more attention in that class instead of being on Facebook. I'll tell you that much. But I really didn't pay attention to too much, and I really regret it now. However, I will say that when I'm done here in the summertime, I'll be done with my 2-year finally, and I'm taking a little break from school. One of the things I'm definitely, by the way. Thank you very much. 5 years in, but thank you very much. But yeah, I'm planning on picking up a book or two and looking more into it. Here's the thing: I know that coding's not really for me. I know I'll never be the way my crazy mind works. There's no way I just can't focus enough on code. But I would like to at least get to the point where I can interpret, edit, and potentially create a little bit of code on my own. But the main thing is I want to be able to look at code, analyze it, see why this is doing what, and be able to edit things out of it,
Of course. No. I understand that. I know what you mean. Yeah,
I think
that's when web dev helps out. Web dev is pretty easy to get into. I mean, if you're doing basic stuff in there and everything, it's probably the more graspable thing.
I actually haven't heard of web dev before.
Oh, just like web developing. like
Oh,
making
yeah,
websites, things like that.
I've done like HTML and CSS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of stuff I know. I want to do more like well, I mean, you call it like C is like object oriented programming, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I want to get into, but not again not too heavily because I'm hardware. I'm more hands on. I think you as well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like hardware, things you can see and physically touch it and ultricate basically.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, no, I know what you mean with that. Oh, man. It's just one thing I was going to ask you, though. You said you also started out with a flashed Xbox 360, as did I. But do you remember that feeling of like euphoria you get when you got your ISO and you loaded it into AVGX and you patch it like 2 or 3 times and then you burn it off, you wait 45 minutes and you put it into your disk drive and it boots up? Like the first time you ever do that.
I felt like a gangster is what I felt like.
You felt like a gangster?
Like a gangster, dude. I was like, this is so badass. Like, I mean, it was like maybe like a very geeky, nerdy gangster at that, but I mean, shit, I just I called my brother in again. I mean, a big old smile on my face, like, check this out, check this out. Like, dude, I was so.
You all are just freaking out by the Xbox, like, oh shit, it's booting up.
Hey, it was like you fanboying over Little White, but for my Xbox, dude.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, was hilarious. If you guys haven't seen his new vlog video, please go check it out. That was a funny vlog, dude.
Oh,
I mean,
thanks,
serious
man.
and funny at the same time. But I was dying when you did that cut scene of you just jumping around your apartment or whatever, man. It's too damn funny.
Well, thank you for the plug, man. I appreciate it.
No worries, man.
Yeah, now you know what that means. You have to do a thing of you jumping around your apartment or your room or anything. When you move out, you have to do it.
I totally will, dude. I'll think of a very interesting way to do it. But yeah, I'll do something where I make myself look like a fool.
Yeah. Oh no, do like the Chief Keef thing, like from his video Love Sosa. Just like do a rap video with a bunch of your friends shirtless.
Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea.
Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. And then it gets taken down and my channel gets banned and I'm just super upset. No, I'm just kidding. Like, Mr. Mario.
It's like, hey, it wasn't me. I just gave the idea.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, man, dude, no. No. Oh, man. I'm trying to think. Anything else I want to add about the scene right now, dude? I
mean, right now, dude, it's just full of, like, Call of Duty kids, all that. And I've actually, there's been some bigger modders I've talked to who have done, really excellent things, some really awesome stuff. And, for example, like some of them, they follow me on Twitter and I was already following them. I'm like, oh my God, like this guy. So I start, DMing them. And I'm not going to say names, but like one of the last people I talked to, I told him, it's just like, hey, you did some really awesome work. It's a shame the scene is how it is now. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, because of how people act and all that, like that's why I really stopped doing what I was doing because I enjoyed it, but it got to the point where it just was not fun.
You know what, dude? The biggest thing for me with the people in the modding scene, like the 360 modding scene, and again, this is not everybody. So if you're like, "Hey, Dopes, you're a dick," like, no, I'm not. This isn't. I'm not. Again, I'm not summarizing everybody. I'm just saying I've seen this more times than not. Is just the goddamn ungratefulness, dude.
Yes,
the ungratefulness of it all, man. I mean, the people that are just. I mean, think about it. You've got these guys, anyone that's developing anything for the 360 scene, aside from maybe XBLS, because I think in his mind he had money intent was his intent, but anyone else that's developing is developing as a hobby, as something to, fund a fun project, whatever, whatever the reasons are, but and the just amount of ungratefulness and like instead of appreciating what you're getting, basically wanting more, like more, it's just where is the motivation in that for any developer who, again, is not getting paid and is doing this in his spare time to continue? Why would you?
A lot of people I've seen who develop as well too, like there were some people who were just like kind of getting annoyed they weren't doing things like this. Like there was one exchange I saw on one forum where like pretty much somebody was saying they were able to code something and people were they're giving them shit. They're like, no, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. And this guy's like, well, because they want him to release it, he's like, well, why should I release it? Another person's going to do it, and even if I do release it, somebody's going to take it and reverse it in Reflector, and they're going to take my code and use it for theirs.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm pretty sure that would happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it does happen. Yeah. Somebody releases something private, and then either it gets leaked out, or if somebody releases something public, people will take it and they will reverse it, and then they'll just take that code and use it as quote unquote community code.
Yeah. Which isn't cool, dude, especially with the amount of hard work and time that goes into, creating something. But I mean, the thing is, I don't feel like there's any way to stop that. It's sure it's always happened and it's always going to happen, essentially. But it sucks, dude. It really sucks because like it's basically just a wall and it's a prevention from people wanting to release their work.
Of course, of course. Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I mean, I kind of want to say this too. This might get some people mad, but it's like sometimes I don't know when I like look at the scene now and all that because some people they want me to do Xbox stuff. It's like one, I've covered everything I want to, but two, it's like with how it is now, with everybody just doing their Call of Duty, their GTA Online stuff, and just the sheer amount of immaturity there is there and just ungratefulness and everything. I'm just like I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to be a part of this.
yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the 360 scene went from like the OGs from the Xbox scene, the OG Xbox scene, like all the OGs, and then it just got flooded because of Call of Duty. I feel like it got flooded with just a bunch of preteens, if
Yeah,
you will.
because I mean, there's a lot of people I see. I don't want to do, like a my dick is bigger than yours comparison, things like that. But there's people they try and brag and stuff like that, and it's just like, dude, you copy and paste files.
Yeah,
Show me how to open up your Xbox. Show me how to solder a glitch chip and modify your system. Show me
yeah.
you writing a script or some code if you know how to do that. Because you taking an ISO and changing some files in it, or copy and pasting a few files to your Xbox's hard drive through Xbox 360 neighborhood does not impress me.
No. And, well, the thing is, and again, for everyone listening to this, I know like that Mr. Mario means it like this. He's not saying that if you're just copying and pasting things that makes you bad. He's just saying if you're trying to act like you're on a high horse, that you're something like that you're again like elite hacksaw or something like that. You're not essentially. I mean that's all he's saying is that if you want to have bragging rights, you got to do something that actually takes a little bit more than common. I mean, something that everyone can do. Everyone can right click, copy, paste. Anyone, that stuff. But not everyone is comfortable ripping something apart and soldering things because, again, you have risks involved. And again, same with like you said with programming. That's something that takes knowledge. If you're hard coding from scratch, you obviously have at least some kind of knowledge on what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, well, and thank you for that. I appreciate the explanation there. But even I mean, one thing is like one person who he does miss modding. I'm not going to say his name, but he misses modding, and he hasn't had the time for it or anything like that. He needs to get his hardware back up on it because he's trying to come back into it. But like, I know the guy who I believe it was either Zombies or it was either Black Ops or World at War. He figured out how to take, mods online with that. And that was a big development, but nobody knows who he is. Another thing is, well, at least, like nobody now, like if I say his name, maybe some people might know. But then even another thing is when he was bored, this guy was ISO modding games. Like he was like ripping open these files and XEX and ISO modding games when he didn't even have a system.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, and there were times like he would release them without even testing, and they worked. But other times, like I would work with him a little bit, so he would send me over the files. He'd be like, "Okay, load it up on your system. Tell me how it works, things like that." And he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, like people here, like one big thing is, for example, like trainers that come out on games. I don't know if you know about this too much, but he said that a lot of people, what they do with trainers is they run the XEX through a tool, and they're essentially able to use this GUI type tool to create the trainer for them, while as he was actually going into the game code, like he was going into the game files or the XEX file and modifying that itself to create his own things."
So basically now there's a shortcut for it. You're saying,
Oh, a mega shortcut, yeah.
Yeah, but he before had to do the digging to actually get to the core of it all.
Exactly,
and
it takes him like a few minutes to do it. It's crazy.
Jeez, man, I've actually never heard of this guy or anything like that. I remember the first thing I remember with ISO modding was definitely World at War, Zombies. I used to have it. I actually still have that. And I thought it was the most badass thing ever. I'm like, you're telling me if I put this in my retail, and I mean, it was just Flash console obviously, but essentially retail aside from that, but
Retail NAND.
yeah, exactly, retail NAND console, and I mean, me and my brother had so much fun with it, dude. I mean, you had like disco ball fog, and I mean, it was just, oh god, it was so tight, and then. They also, I know they had it with GTA. I've seen quite a few ISO things like that, but I never really looked into like who came out with that because that was very innovative. In all honesty, it really was.
Exactly. The funny thing is, honestly, one of the best things I've seen from an ISO mod, I think it was Project X2 for World at War, 2 or 2.1, something like that. The latest Project X, they ended up ISO modding Flappy Bird into the game.
No shit. No. Oh, dude, I need to look at that. What? I haven't heard of anything like that, dude. What do you think it's called? Project X2?
Project XV2, I think that's what it is.
I'm gonna take a look at it later and see. That's crazy. You just see me later. I'm gonna shoot you a Snapchat of me with Flappy Bird in the background of me playing the damn thing.
It's like, I'm playing Flappy Bird on Call of Duty!
Hashtag best day ever.
Yeah, just watch that. Then you're just like, okay, Danny, here's a problem. I kind of smashed my TV because of Flappy Bird.
Oh yeah, Flappy Bird's the Antichrist.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. ISO modding was really really cool. But I'm sorry, you said the last thing was basically you said he stopped doing it, and the reasoning was just because people.
I mean, essentially, it was money issues for him, so he had to get rid of his stuff.
Oh, okay.
But then it was a personal thing too, because it's just like the scene he was in just got so lazy and so bad that he just like he was just like, I'm done with this. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. Occasionally, he comes out with something. He's like, oh yeah, hey, I didn't even test this, but here you go.
That's still cool though, dude. I mean, it's really cool, regardless of whether it works or not. Well, hopefully it works, but
all of his stuff works.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing. Yeah, dude, he's naturally gifted, man. It's crazy.
That's freaking rad. Yeah, I wouldn't know where to start with any of that stuff, dude. In all honesty, I mean,
and I'm pretty sure he does like 90% of his coding drunk.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's even more awesome.
We
need to get this guy on the show.
I'll talk with him. I'll see if he wants to do something.
That'd be rad, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anyways, we're clocking in at about 40 minutes now, and we've had a good talk here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we for a first episode, I'm very, very happy with how it went. I feel like we got a lot of stuff across, and it's kind of a good starting point for what you guys can expect. We've got, again, a lot of different topics, a lot of random rantness I'm sure will be involved, and a lot of maybe bad humor on my end, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited, and I'm stoked that we have done episode 1 now, if you will. So
exactly, episode 1 of ModChat, and hopefully many more to come. And we also have several other plans that are in the pipelines right now. So 2015, man.
Yeah, we're here, and we're here to rock it, dude. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we could say something like we're trying to be your favorite modders.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Oh, man. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, we could do our outros and all that now, but, thanks for stopping by, everyone. Let us know how this is if you came to the end of this. If you have any ideas for what you want us to talk about, we might already have them written down, but, let us know down below in the description if you have any other recommendations, things like that. And if this wasn't the best episode, I mean, it's like anything you do for the first time. It's like sex, for example. Like, it's not supposed to be good the first time you do it. Like, you're not supposed to be good at it, but if you are good at it, awesome. But like, the second, third time, fourth time, that's when you get better. So, the show will probably just get better.
Yeah, well, anyways, I just wanted to say again, thanks to all of you for tuning in. I wanted to say a big thank you again to Mr. Mario for basically kind of, we've both been talking back and forth about it, but for making this a thing because, anyone could talk about something, but he definitely, hit me up on it and said, hey, you ready? Like, let's do this. And so that's cool having someone that's, really following through on everything that we were talking about. So, thank you very much for that, dude. Sorry I slept in a little bit later today.
Oh, dude, it's all good. Don't even worry about it, man. I've been doing my own thing, waking up really early and being weird.
Okay,
so.
Right on. Yeah, well, again, thank you all. And then, like you said, also let us know in the comments down below what you guys think. I'm pretty sure that you guys are going to be excited for this because I'm sure he gets the same, but I get all the time a lot of different things, about modding and people wanting to hear more about different things. So this was kind of our way of giving you guys some hopefully good listening over the next, months. Or, I don't know how long it'll go on for. Maybe forever, but no, for a while at least. But anyways, guys, on that note, I will, end my part here. So again, guys, thedopesoner930, thank you all for tuning in. And yeah, all right.
All right. And hey, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you for listening and watching, everyone. You all be sure to have a good day, night, whatever it is you're from.